Okay, are you ready? Let's get started. Today, yes, we are talking about syllables. And we're going to talk about introductions as well. But syllables will be a bit short for this. With Professor Pak, you got into a bit of the nitty-gritty about the parts of those syllables with the onset, nucleus, coda, rhymes even. But as we had in that short little skit with humming, syllables are the peaks, the blocks of sounds that we make when we have words. Every language has syllables, but every language has different rules about syllables. And so when we talk about the differences between English syllables and Korean syllables, there's different rules on how we can make them, and different ways how we can easily identify them. When we look at a Korean word, it's very, very easy to see how many syllables it has. But when we look at an English word, it's a little more difficult, a little harder. And there are some different tricks on how we can do that. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, I want to check up on a few things. This semester, as particularly with this class of EP1, trying out the app Flipgrid. And so you're making the short introduction videos. Because for this class, for pronunciation, I need to give you feedback on how you talk and how you pronounce and how you move your mouth and lips and all those things. So Flipgrid could provide a very excellent way of getting the video and audio in a private forum. But I'm a little worried. One, on the ease of use. Is it easy for you to use? And also, I'm a little worried about the views, because looking at it with the amount of views, once I turned it into public mode, what I mean is public mode being that when you submit a video, it's first hidden from regular view. I can watch it, but other students can't. And then, but even you, if you upload your video, you can't see your own video, which is a problem, I think. Because sometimes I would prefer it if no other students see your videos. Or you might prefer it as well, being shy or whatever. So it's something to be concerned about. So I'm trying to figure out how to best use this app because I think it has a lot of potential. But yesterday, when I turned the submitted videos to be able to be seen by others, the views went up astronomically. There's only less than 30 students, but some of the videos had 350 views. What in the devil was going on? Did you watch it that many times? Good lordy, oh lordy. Or is somebody else watching it? And I don't want other people to watch it. We don't need that yet. So I'm trying to figure things out. So quite important, on eClass this week, please take a moment and answer the questions on the discussion board about Flipgrid and how the experience was for you, because I don't know. I know how it is for me, but how is it for you? What do you think about it? What do you think the strengths of the app are? What are the weaknesses of it so far? What's good about it and what's bad about it? Very important for that, because it will help our class, and it's something that you'll need to start thinking about educational tools, about what's good, what could be good, and even if it's a good thing, how can it be made even better with a few tweaks? And that was what we're trying to do with this, because I do think it's a tool with a lot of potential. But back to it, syllables. Syllables are units of pronunciation. I'm going to keep hammering at this the entire semester. pronunciation is not based on writing. It's based on the sounds. Do you remember how many letters are in the English alphabet? We talked about it last week, if I remember. That's right, there's 26. 26 letters. But how many sounds are in the English alphabet? There's about 40. And I say about 40 because different pronunciation schemes, accents have different sounds. So there's not an exact number for the amount of sounds in the English language because different people speak differently and there's different sounds. So syllables are basic blocks of the sounds of words. They are not the smallest. The phonemes are, but phonemes aren't comprehensible sounds. So syllables are built around vowels, as we learned in the other class, and there's consonants around them. A vowel by itself can be a syllable. A consonant by itself is not. In other languages, consonant clusters can be syllables. In Russian, the Slavic languages, Russian, Serbian, Croatian, those allow consonant clusters to be syllables. You can have like 4 or 5 consonants together and it works. In English it doesn't. In Korean it doesn't. But in other languages it does. So if you ever learn other languages, you'll have to learn about the rules of syllables, and that will help you pronounce those languages better. So in English, when we have syllables, we talk about how can we identify them? Well, syllables are always based around vowels, vowel sounds. That's why it's important to remember just looking at the word and speaking the word will show you where the actual vowels are. For example, the word cat. Cat. How many syllables are in the word cat? Well, there's 2 consonants and one vowel, the ah sound. So it's cat. 1. If we do the clapping game, cat, cat, cat. What about the word coffee? Coffee. Coffee. Ah-e. 2 vowel sounds, and then there's the k and f consonant sounds, but we have 2 vowel sounds, 2 consonants, making for 2 syllables. Coffee, coffee. There's intonation in there as well, but we'll get into intonation later on. But what about the word sky? Sky. If we just look at the word, then there's not a single vowel written down. But sky, there is a vowel sound. This is why it's important to disregard, so to speak, the letters, the written letters for pronunciation. We're thinking about sounds, and that's where it comes in. So it's important for us to think about the sounds, and this might help us when we want to identify where the syllables are and how many there are. With how I started this class, this video, with humming out. This will help us think. For example, hello. That one's easy too, but if we hum it, hello, hello, 2, clearly 2. What about orange, orange, orange? In Korean, a lot it's pronounced orangey or orange. So a lot of, with the Korean pronunciation rules affecting the second language, L2, that's something that language learners do quite often. I do it when I speak Korean or want to write Korean. My English interferes. So with especially young learners, their Korean interferes with their English production. So because Korean does not allow certain syllable consonants to be at the end of a syllable, they have to add in a vowel sound. So nice, s, becomes nicer. words like that. Kiss. So if that affects students' pronunciation, and it becomes an identifier for where the interference comes from. So let's go back to the word orange. Orange. If we hum it, because if you think about orange, there's an E on the end. So you're like orange, orange. Is it 2 or 1? If we hum it, we can feel it's just 1. And this can help us and help students actually count how many syllables there are. And of course, if they insist on saying orangey, then it's but that's incorrect, and that will require explicit correction. Some students are obstinate, 3 syllables, so that requires correction. So something that the important part here that we need to bear in mind is that when we talk about syllables, is that the syllables in English and Korean are different, but they exist in both, and therefore it's easy to get confused. So it's important that we practice a bit with syllables. So we'll practice a bit now. Pause. Three, two, one, boom. Now, oh. 3, 2, 1, bam. So it's a brief introduction and exercise about syllables. We'll get into them more later. If we take a look in our handy-dandy books and take a look at page 30, we see change the lyrics. What I like you to do, quite important, is we see the original lyrics, example 1, version 1, the itsy bitsy spider. How many syllables are there? Well, there's 7. Went up the water spout. So we see all the syllables there, and then we see that they're changed lyrics, but the words are the same, but the syllables are the same. But the words are changed, and that's where I think this is excellent practice for us. Your turn, version 1. I'd like us to make sure we complete this on page 30. Change the lyrics, but keep your syllable count the same. So line 1, 7 syllables. So your line 1 needs to have 7 syllables. The lyrics can be anything, but you need to be willing to share it. So I would like us first make sure you write down in your books and change your own version of the itsy bitsy spider nursery rhyme, but with your own lyrics, but keep the syllables count the same. Now, let's change gears and let's talk about lessons. In this class, you are going to make 2 lessons. And as of right now, you're going to have 1 video lesson by yourself and 1 in-class lesson with hopefully a group. But with COVID and everything, I don't know how things are actually going to work out. Schedules can change. But we are going to have 2 lessons. They might be 2 video lessons, but that might be 1 video and 1 in class. We'll work it out. If you check the class materials, for each lecture, there's going to be a short lesson plan of what I'm doing in each lesson, and what we're talking about. So for your lessons, you will need to make a lesson plan and talk about each part of what you're going to do and divide up your lesson. So today, we're going to talk briefly about introducing a lesson, starting the lesson. It's very important that when we're introducing a lesson, that's not the lesson itself. It's just the introduction. So it needs to be short. That's important. Introductions are short. Of a 40-minute lesson, introductions should not be more than 5 minutes. On my lesson plan, I have my introduction phase being greeting and warm up. That includes us talking about Flipgrid. And that's how you get to 5 minutes. When we're talking with students, your introductions need to be short, high energy, and interesting, building interest in the material that you're going to teach them. So if we introduce a lesson with low energy, think about why would a student care? Why should a student care? Why should the audience care? Now, some people might not like this comparison, but think about a TV show. You've never seen it. So the start of a TV show is very important in order to keep people watching. YouTube especially. They say that the average viewer will give 7 seconds for a YouTube video to get good. 7 seconds. Now, a lesson isn't a YouTube video, obviously. Students can't just turn us off. And you can't because you're obligated to be here. Students are obligated to watch, but they're not obligated to care. You're not obligated to care, really. So, how can you hook the students in an interesting way? So you need to have high energy and intrigue the students in some way. Now, I did a short little introduction today with the humming that introduced the idea and see if you can understand. With students in class, you have the interaction and you can try to get them to engage in syllables without realizing that they're engaging with syllables. That's where the humming is. That's an example. Hello, how are you? Now, if you say, hello, how are you? The student might not care, or they might just give a flat answer. But with a high energy, high impact delivery, they won't understand. Their interest might be piqued a little bit. So these introductions are very important in getting the students' attention, because once you have it, it's easier to then start teaching them. So this is where the entertainment factor plays a role, in that, especially young children, children don't really understand why they need to learn or why they need to study. They understand they need to. They know they need to, but do they understand? It's not entirely understood by them. And it's also something, when we talk about it, while they may understand, they might enjoy math or science or Korean literature, they may not have that same interest for the other subjects that they'll be learning about. And it's our job as teachers to make them interested, trick them sometimes into listening and paying attention. So introductions are very similar to the opening scene of a movie or a TV show. Sometimes it's called a cold open, where you watch it and you're like, oh no, I wonder what's going to happen next. And that's what our introductions are. Before we get into the meat of the matter, it's a tasty appetizer. I haven't eaten any food yet today, so I'm thinking about food. And I'm on a diet, so I'm thinking about a lot of food, a lot of unhealthy food. But that's life. So introductions are very important, but they're also very short. I'll make sure to add on. I want to put an addendum on this, and we'll have some examples. But this is the end of the main lecture. So before we say goodbye, and before we go to the addendum, let's review what we went over today. We had syllables, basic introduction of how they work, how we can easily identify them. There's clapping, there's humming. Oh, there's talk like a robot, because they are flat. When you talk like a robot, you are flat and you enunciate every single syllable in pretty equal terms. Therefore, it's easy to identify when there is a syllable and when there is not. And children kind of, sometimes like enjoying talking like a robot. It can be fun. Those are different ways we can use syllables and think about syllables. And it helps us to think about the differences between English syllables and Korean syllables in class. We talked also briefly about making introductions. In the addendum video, we're going to see some different examples of making introductions, of raising interest. We'll see how that goes. I haven't made it yet, so I'm interested. And also, we do have homework, and that homework is just the discussion questions. And so please make sure that you all go on eClass and see what's going on. Participation is a very important part of our grade for this class. I'm very happy so far with the Flipgrid videos. Some students have some audio volume issues, but those are all fixable. So I hope we have a great week. It's sunny out, but here in Gyeonggi-do, we're told don't go outside. And I don't actually see anyone outside. There's lots of cars I see, but no. It's kind of cloudy now. I can't see Lotte World Tower from where I am. So I usually can't, that's why. So have a great week. Stay safe, and please, please stay healthy. All right. Thank you very much, and goodbye.